personally, I think this is a strengthening education about what all has happened around this, what was just going to be the first photo of a orange-gray hand and a head. The head is still a question mark, even in Earthfile Support's mind. He's very analytical and very critical, and he did a side-by-side comparison in which it is very true that the eye pattern in the, we'll call it the alleged real photo, versus the 3D created head, the eyes do not match. And you can do an examination and make a comparison, and you will see that. But that does not mean that there isn't a real extraterrestrial, sort of orangish-gray being or civilization or species that looks exactly like that photo. And as Buddy pointed out, that's counter-intel.
For the masses. Yeah. For the masses. Yeah. For the masses. The masses. For the masses.
Thanks for being here. This is Truth Seekers with your host, Stephen Campion. Please rate, like and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. Head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truth Seekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat room during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. So many of you have sent me this video that I thought I don't really want to talk about this, but since so many of you have sent me the video and apparently want me to talk about it, we're going to talk about it. Apparently, Miss Linda Moulton Howe has run out of fake UFO and alien pictures to sell stupid people. Perhaps in response to some of our critical coverage. For those unaware, we have caught her twice now selling completely and totally fake pictures of aliens as real pictures of aliens. Here's a shot from the last time we caught her, in which she used 3D rendered photos that were created by a Brazilian artist for a fictional web series, and she created a whole news story claiming that there were the first pictures of an orange-gray alien. A gray alien with his gray exoskeleton removed, showing the pink flesh underneath. So those were the latest completely and totally fake pictures we caught her selling stupid people. And interestingly, every time we catch her selling completely and totally fake pictures of aliens, the time before this, it was her selling a picture from a 2005 video game cover of a, I suppose, gray-looking alien on the moon that she claims was taken during a secret space mission to the moon, an Apollo mission that doesn't actually exist. Each time we catch her, she just doubles down. She blamed the men in black both times, claiming that it's a CIA disinformation campaign against her because she's getting too close to the truth about aliens or whatever wacky shit she says. You gotta love it. So recently, and listen, we have seen this happen before when people get caught selling and telling too many fake stories. Eventually, many of these characters resort to starting to talk about their past lives. I suppose it's safe because, quite honestly, if Linda Moulton Howe is telling people about her ancient Egyptian past lives, I can't prove that she wasn't living a past life in ancient Egypt, but she can't prove that she is. Therefore, these things don't pass the test of falsifiability. There's no evidence for them. There's just stories. So I suppose in an effort to be undebunkable, now instead of selling people fake pictures of aliens, she's going to tell people all about her adventures in ancient Egypt. And we're going to go through the video. But before we get to tonight's presentation, I just wanted to update our viewers with this situation last night. For those unaware, I talked about it last night. There's a group on YouTube called UFOs, the UFO phenomenon, a serious, what is it? The UFO phenomenon, a serious look. And it's run, interestingly, I found out that it's run by the same people who run a scientific UFO organization that just so happened to hire less than credible speakers at their events. So the mystery of why they banned me from their little Facebook group has been solved. They're hiring the people selling fake stories that we prove are selling fake stories on this show. So it's no surprise that they don't want either myself or other people posting my videos in their group, because then they might have to address why their charitable organization, which is supposed to be a science-based organization, is hiring people that have provably been caught selling fake stories about UFOs and aliens multiple times. This brings up a great many ethical and legal problems for them, because essentially the situation we are in now is that they are banning the reporter who has proven 100% that they hire people who sell provably fake stories at their charities events. And then they charge people money, I think, right? Isn't it cost them something to attend these events? I'm confused. And of course, this brings up a lot of ethical problems and questions like, why is a charitable organization banning reporters and stomping all over reporters' right to freedom of speech and freedom of expression in their privately run groups? Should that be legally allowed? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but it brings up a lot of questions. So essentially, they are hiring people like Ross Coulthart. In the past, they've hired people like Lou Elizondo and Hal Puthoff, who were both allegedly part of what has been described as the TTSA techno investment scam in some reporting out of Washington, D.C. This is very problematic. So I love this situation. And I just want to say that they have poked the wrong bear. I have the right to post my shows anywhere that I can or want to. At least that's my personal belief. And if this organization who's running a private Facebook group is actively censoring reporters who are shedding light on the dubious, scandalous, shady activities of the people that they are hiring at their events, that's going to be a real problem. And also, because they decided to do this to me and stomp all over my rights to free speech and freedom of expression, I decided I would look into their organization. So early this morning, or maybe it was probably early this afternoon, I sent them an email and I requested the 990 forms from their charitable organization. For those unaware, if you run a charity, you have to file these 990 forms. And it informs the government and the public, hey, here's how much money we collected, and this is what we spent it on. They're required by law to give me those forms. To me, a reporter, or any member of the public that asks. If somebody runs a charity, you can ask for their 990 forms, and they're required by law to give them to you. And by the way, these are public records, which I could get in other ways, but they can make it easier for me by just giving me their charity's paperwork so that we can maybe get to the bottom of how much money they're collecting and what they're spending it on, besides apparently paying proven UFO scammers to speak at their scientific conference. Do you think that maybe banning the reporter that is proving you are hiring people that have been caught selling provably fake stories at your events might be a bad idea from a public relations standpoint, at least, or an ethical or legal standpoint? I think it might. So I'm going to share my screen. This is Rich Hoffman, who is the administrator of the Facebook group which banned me. At least he was, but now there's some new shenanigans going on. And I love this. Bridging the gap, bringing science, government, academia to better understand UAP. And here's where it gets interesting. The theme this year, to help the theme, I asked my friend, says this Rich Hoffman, Ross Coulthart, an award-winning journalist, to be our keynote and help shape the narrative we are striving for. Yes, that would be a false narrative, Mr. Hoffman, because all Ross Coulthart does is spin false narratives and sell fake stories, and we've proven that here. Interestingly, once I sent them an email requesting their financial forms, suddenly a member of their group, another administrator of their private Facebook group, a man named Ralph Howard, reached out to me, I suppose in an effort to negotiate. And so what they've offered me somehow is that they will let me post my show once a week or something like that. No, I'm not negotiating with terrorists. You people are free speech destroying terrorists. I'm not negotiating. I want the 990 forms, and I'm not done digging. And also, I asked this Ralph Howard a very important question. Is it just me that's banned from posting my shows, or is every user in that group banned from posting my shows? So this year they're hiring, it's wonderful. This year they are hiring Ross Coulthart, who we have proven over and over and over again. We've caught him selling completely 100% provably fake stories over and over again, multiple times. And they're hiring him to be their keynote speaker. You got to love it. And I have some red flags about Ross Coulthart. Maybe we'll take this as a teachable moment. And Mr. Rich Hoffman, who claims to be some sort of science guy or scientist, maybe we can educate him about exactly who he's hiring. And then I'm going to have some other questions that are related to false advertising. 1 second, though. We'll get to this red flags. Okay, so this is from our show about people who are disinformation spreaders or disinformation agents. So Ross Coulthart's partner, Bryce Zabel, works with Richard Dolan, who is right now selling people superpowers. Nothing says credible like hiring the partner of a guy who's also working with somebody that's selling people superpowers right now. Bryce Zabel helped Ross Coulthart peddle several completely fake stories. We proved that here. Bryce Zabel has made outrageous claims for many years and never proved anything. But this isn't really about Bryce Zabel. This is just an older graphic. Pardon me, I didn't have time to edit. Busy day today. Ross Coulthart, who this scientific, hold on. the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, they hired Ross Coulthart this year as their keynote speaker. But perhaps they were not aware of some of the problems in Mr. Coulthart. Yes, you're right, too. You are right, Mr. Richard Hoffman. Ross Coulthart is an award-winning award-winning journalist. Do you know what his latest award is? The latest award that Ross Coulthart won is from Australia. It's called the Bent Spoon Award. It's kind of a spoof or a parody of Uri Geller. And they give that every year to the journalist who has created or published the most fake, sensationalized clickbait, garbage, fake stories for the year in Australia. Ross Coulthart won that. So you're right, Mr. Hoffman. Ross Coulthart is an award-winning journalist. He won an award for publishing more fake stories than anybody else in the whole country of Australia, you asshole, right? And you hired him to be your keynote speaker at your scientific-based UFO organization event. You gotta love it. But let's get back to the red flags. Ross Coulthart was caught accusing British Parliament members of being child rapists. That Mr. UAP science guy, Rich Hoffman, that was a 100% completely and totally provably fake story. That was so fake, in fact, that the organization Media Watch called it grossly inaccurate and misleading. Right? This is who you're hiring. Ross Coulthart was also caught selling a 100% fake story about an Area 51 patch. He claimed that it had something to do with alien crash retrievals. It was for a radar research group at Area 51. Had nothing to do with aliens or had nothing to do with crash retrievals. And by the way, just for the benefit of this Mr. Richard Hoffman, I'm trying to educate him since, you know, he runs a scientific-based UFO, UAP organization. I just want to make sure that you understand that Mr. Coulthart was paid to speak at an event in Australia after we caught him selling a 100% fake story about an Area 51 patch. That was a fake story, sir. And he got paid to tell that fake story at a UFO event in Australia. So what you are doing, sir, Mr. Hoffman, what you are doing is you are hiring somebody who provably, in my view, in the view of anybody reasonable or rational, took money to tell people fake alien and UFO stories at a UFO event. And now you've hired him at your scientifically based UFO organization event. You gotta love it. Ross Coulthart also once claimed he had, quote, definitive proof of alien technology, all confirmed by this man and then by this renowned scientist. And then they cut to a shot of Michio Kaku. He had no proof, sir. That was 100% fake story. A clickbait, garbage, sensationalized story that was so bad they had to take it off of YouTube because they knew that they had basically committed consumer fraud and engaged in deceptive practices to sell a completely and totally fake story. So they took it off of YouTube. And Ross Coulthart also claims that he knows the location of a giant alien spaceship on Earth. He's never provided any proof of that. So that's a completely and totally fake story. So interestingly, Mr. Hoffman seems to think that hiring a proven UFO scammer, a proven peddler of completely and totally fake stories about aliens and UFOs is a good idea for his attempt at bridging the gap, bringing science, government, and academia better together to better understand UAP. I'm sorry. I am taking way too much joy and delight in this man banning me from a Facebook group because I suppose he's embarrassed and he doesn't want people in the Facebook group who are also members of this scientific coalition for UAP studies. He doesn't want them to know about the history of the speakers he is hiring to speak at his so-called scientific-based event. That's why they banned me. But I asked this person, Ralph Howard, some questions, and it's interesting. 1 second here. Also, I asked the other administrator, his name is Ralph Howard. I asked him if they're going to ban everyone besides me who posts my stories on their public Facebook group. Now, just to be clear, I didn't ask anybody to join that group, but some people did. And now they're posting some of my stories, including the story, this incredibly well-researched story, by the way, gentlemen, in which I demolished Ross Coulthart's latest, at that time, 100% fake story. We busted more of his fake stories since then. So now, I suppose there are members of my audience which are joining that group. And I have some questions like, are you going to ban every person from that group who posts one of my shows? Especially when it involves a speaker that you're hiring at your public charity, scientific-based UAP, UFO event? Can you possibly ban everybody? What if I send my whole audience in there? I will not be silenced, gentlemen. I will not be. You will not step all over my free speech, and you will not hide your shady dealings of your organization from the public. Not going to happen. And we're still investigating your organization and what we can do. And I'm sure that some people may consider this very heavy-handed approach, but I've decided I'm going to have zero tolerance to UFO cult bullying. You're not doing it. You are not deleting me from a Facebook group. If you are allowing people to post provably 100% fake stories from your keynote speakers show, Ross Coulthart, every day, then I'm going to post my shows in there every day as well to sort of balance things out. I think that's only fair. And I'm certain they're going to have some problems with this. One of the other things I asked this organization's, one of their members is, this is a problem. This is right from their website, in which they are falsely advertising Lou Elizondo and saying that he ran ATIP. There's been several confirmations from the United States Pentagon, including this Aero historical report. And in that Aero historical report, it is very clear that Lou Elizondo he did not run a program called ATIP. It wasn't an assigned responsibility. There was no budget. There was no staff. There was no office for that. He did not run a program called ATIP, according to the Pentagon. But several years ago, apparently, this charitable organization did not do their due diligence. They just booked a guy who said he ran a government Pentagon UFO program. So this is false advertising. You didn't do your due diligence and check into the claims of the speakers. Therefore, you falsely advertised to your members and members of the public as a charitable organization, no doubt, completely and totally false facts in order to sell an event. That's problematic when you're a charitable organization. But it gets better. They also hired Hal Puthoff. You remember him, the man who was fooled by children's magic tricks into believing that Uri Geller has superpowers. And by the way, both of these people that they hired were part of what has been described as a techno investment scam. And they hired both of them while they were running the TTSA thing, collecting millions of dollars from people and never delivering on their promises, while they were actively lying to investors, telling investors they were going to build a spaceship with a revolutionary power source, and they may have UFO alien crash retrievals in their possession, and all manner of promises, including lying about Lou Elizondo's work in the United States government running a Pentagon UFO program he never ran. This is the quality of your speakers for your charitable organization. This is the quality of your speakers. a fake Pentagon UFO program director, a disgraced journalist in the form of Ross Coulthart. He's a disgraced Australian journalist. There's a reason he covers UFOs now. And that is because he is a disgraced journalist who destroyed his career with a completely and totally fake story about members of the British Parliament being involved in a child predator ring. That story was completely and totally fake. Then we've got Hal Puthoff. Former high-ranking Scientologist who got superpowers from being a Scientologist. Nothing says credible scientific charitable organization like hiring a guy who once claimed he got superpowers from doing Scientology auditing. It's in one of their monthly newsletters. Yes, Hal Puthoff claimed to have superpowers, and you hired him at your science event. And of course, Lou Elizondo claimed to run a government UFO program that he never ran. You hired that guy. And now you've hired disgraced Australian journalist Ross Coulthart to speak at your same event. And there's others. They've hired people that are part of the Soul Foundation as well. So it's one big club and I ain't in it. And they think that they can just delete me from Facebook groups and stomp all over my free speech and discriminate against me because I'm telling people the truth, while they are actively defrauding the public and have a history now of defrauding the public. Did you tell everybody that's signing up for this event that Lou Elizondo never ran a Pentagon UFO program like he claimed? Did you tell everybody that Hal Puthoff claims that he got superpowers from Scientology? Did you tell everybody how many times Ross Coulthart has been caught selling 100% provably fake stories before? Or did you keep that from the people that are attending these events? And I just want to share this one more part because, oh, geez. Anyway, in their website, they claim that one of their mission statements, one of their goals is to provide people with credible information about UFOs. How are you giving people credible information about UFOs with a fake Pentagon UFO program director, a completely and totally disgraced Australian journalist who keeps getting caught selling fake alien stories, and a man who claims that he got superpowers from Scientology and was also involved in what has been described as a techno investment scam, which allegedly defrauded investors out of millions of dollars and never delivered on any of their promises? How is that credible? So, no, I'm not negotiating. By the way, I found out that this same group also banned Stephen Greenstreet and some others. So I've demanded that they unban us all. And if they don't, I'm going to take whatever steps I'm going to take, and we're going to look for a resolution to this situation. I think they made a huge mistake here. You know, there's an old saying that my father used to say is sometimes, or he used to say, you shouldn't go around poking bears, because if you do that, eventually you're going to poke the wrong bear. They may have poked the wrong bear here, so we're going to start digging more into that organization. You, as an organization, don't get to censor people, don't get to stomp all over free speech. You don't get to hide accurate, fact, and truth-based reporting about the speakers you hire at your event. You don't get to hide that. That's not the world in which I live in. It may be the delusional fantasy world that you people live in, but it's not the real world. It's not my world. So I will aggressively defend my rights. And if you continue to discriminate against me or any other reporters, then I will take whatever steps necessary, up to and including legal steps, and reporting you to Facebook for discrimination. Hey, I might identify as some things, and that's why they're discriminating against me. I'm going to take an aggressive stance here. But you know what? It feels good. It's easy. It's easy to take the high road. And you know, I try to do that. But sometimes you have to stand up to a bully. I grew up on the mean streets of Philadelphia. And where I grew up, If some bully came along and tried to take something from you that was yours, you punched him in the fucking face. That's how you deal with a bully. You punch them in the face and you let them know you picked the wrong person. You will not bully me. You will not bully me or anyone else on my watch. This organization's ability to censor accurate, real, verifiable, fact-based reporting over sensationalized clickbait garbage peddlers selling fake stories is over now. But it's interesting that suddenly this Rich Hoffman has been removed as one of the administrators of their Facebook group, which I was banned from. I think that's interesting. Suddenly, they have lost two moderators from this Facebook group. There was two other moderators on this group at the time that they banned me, and now there was four. I'm sorry, there was four moderators when they banned me, and now there's only two moderators: Ralph Howard and Richard Davis. Now, I was told by Ralph Howard that it was this group belonged to Rich Hoffman. Suddenly, he's no longer an administrator there. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Why would you remove him as a moderator after you just stepped in the shitstorm of trying to ban a reporter from your Facebook group who's accurately reporting on the UFO scammers you hire at your organization's annual events? Isn't that interesting? Suddenly, the guy that runs the charity wants his name removed from the group. Now, that could be simply for liability reasons or for public relations. I don't want to speculate why they removed him, but it's enough to say they did remove him. So I'll keep you guys posted. I will aggressively defend my situation here. And by the way, as I mentioned before, that's one of 99 or 100 other Facebook groups that just say, sorry, we only like the fake fairy tale stories. You can't post here. No. I'm going through Facebook terms of service. There's a section on discrimination. You can't do that. You can't do that. You'll lose the whole group. So, my advice to them is delete that group or start answering questions like, are you giving refunds to everybody you falsely advertised that Lou Elizondo ran a UFO program he never ran? Did you offer refunds to people that you falsely made those claims to? Maybe you should have just allowed people to see my accurate fact-based reporting on the people that you hire. Take your licks and move on with life. Because now you've just made everything worse. Everything is worse than before you banned me. You attempted to stop people from seeing my work. Now more people will see it. And I will do whatever I have to do to ensure that. All right, so let's move on to, and by the way, they're offering me, they want to negotiate. I'm screenshotting all of that. So I'm not negotiating, right? I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't break your group rules. No, there's no negotiating. You have important decision to make, this group does. Either they're going to be for truth and disclosure and transparency, or they're going to continue to kind of cover things up, in my opinion, and try to hide the truth from people. Not a good look for a public charity. If you run a public charity, you really need to be transparent and truthful with the public. And going around trying to censor the reporter that is, maybe rightly embarrassing you about your choices as a charity, maybe that's not a good look. Maybe that's not a good idea. And I'm investigating all possibilities for how to aggressively defend my position here. All right, so we'll get into Linda Moulton Howe. Now, I just want to make sure that we put on the record, Linda Moulton Howe, of course, she's a prominent figure in the realm of ufology and paranormal investigations. And she has garnered an incredible amount of attention for her purported revelations about extraterrestrial phenomenon. However, scrutiny reveals a pattern of pseudoscientific claims and sensationalism, particularly in her assertions regarding alleged UFO materials, One such instance is the Arts Part story, which we covered here previously, where Howe claimed to possess pieces of an alien spacecraft. Of course, a critical examination of her work on that story reveals a troubling trend of exploiting scientific language and essentially fake pseudoscience purely for financial gain, rather than advancing genuine investigation into these topics. The Arts Part saga unfolded with Howe asserting possession of anomalous materials purportedly from a UFO crash site. Through her platforms, including books, lectures, and documentaries, Howe spun a narrative of otherworldly origin for these materials, captivating audiences with tales of extraterrestrial technology in her possession. However, closer inspection reveals a narrative fraught with inconsistencies and lacking any scientific or empirical evidence. Central to Howe's narrative in that story was the manipulation of scientific terminology to lend credibility to her claims. She employs jargons such as isotopic ratios and nano-layered structures. She did that to create an illusion of scientific rigor. Yet upon scrutiny by real experts, these claims crumble under the weight of science. Genuine scientific inquiry demands rigorous peer review and adherence to methodological principles, none of which are evident in Howe's presentation. Howe's sensationalism and her extreme willingness to embrace fringe theories undermine the integrity of her work. They also, in my opinion, make a mockery of this subject. You ever hear if you try to talk about aliens or UFOs to people, occasionally somebody will say to you, oh, that stuff's all fake. There's a reason people think that. It's because of people like Linda Moulton Howe and Ross Coulthart and Lou Elizondo and many other people that essentially just lie for profit. So Howe's motivations lie more in financial gain and self-promotion than genuine pursuit of knowledge. Her books, lectures, and media appearances generate revenue for her by exploiting the public's fascination with the unknown. But by peddling sensationalized stories of extraterrestrial encounters and alleged UFO materials, Howe perpetuates a cycle of disinformation, misinformation, and fake stories that enriches herself at the expense of scientific integrity. So, interestingly, Linda Moulton Howe recently has now started claiming, she's never claimed this. I've been listening to this woman for far too long, decades. It's like, I don't know what it is. She put out something on werewolves. I had to listen. So anyway, she recently is making claims of past lives in ancient Egypt. And I have a feeling she's doing that for a reason. And I freely admit this is just my speculation, but I'm entitled to it. I think she's getting nervous about getting caught by people like me selling completely and totally fake stories. So she's being ultra careful here, I suppose, with the logic that, well, nobody can prove I didn't have past lives in ancient Egypt, so I could sell that lie now. And nobody can debunk me. Well, true, but we're still going to go through this shit anyway. I want to take a moment before we begin going through the video to mention that this is fair use and a transformative work. We're going to be educating the public about Linda Moulton Howe and her claims of being having past lives in ancient Egypt. Also want to take a moment to welcome in the live chat. And boy, I want to thank a kind and generous benefactor, Krister Wister, with a kind and generous £5. Says, Jesus, I think I have listened more to Stephen this past month than the wife. Keep up the good work. Well, thanks for putting a smile on my face. I've been joking. I've been cracking a lot of wife jokes lately. Yeah, sometimes, listen, I love my wife, but sometimes, especially, she'll start telling me about stuff going on at work and accounting stuff and spreadsheet stuff. And my eyes just glaze over and I get like, sometimes you just can't listen to him, Krister Wister. But we want to take a moment to thank you and recognize you for your kindness, generosity, and support. After all, we use the PBS model here. We're a viewer-supported show. By the way, we read every single super chat. So if you're feeling generous, smash that money button and throw a couple bucks in our hat. So that there is, remember what we talked about earlier, there is this entire cult of people peddling fake stories. It's difficult to do this the honest way, the truthful way, and we appreciate your support doing it. Because if I just made clickbait sensationalized fake alien stories, I could make hundreds of times the money that we generated in income here. And by the way, I'm not complaining. We're thankful for all the support that we get. It's just, that's the facts. If you're going to do this the honest way, it's very, very difficult. So throw a couple bucks in our hat and try to make things easier and keep me honest. Thank you, Krista Wester, for helping us to praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, we're already praising the cash, and it's early in the show, so we thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support, including you Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members. Instructions for how to help through that are in the description of the video. So this came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, Linda Moulton Howe is talking about her past lives in Egypt, apparently. And so many people, I can't tell you how many people sent me this video. Let's begin. This is fair use. We're going to see what Linda has to say about her life in ancient Egypt. And by the way, all of you assholes who attacked me and told me what a credible researcher she is, I'm here to tell you, credible researchers don't wait 30 or 40 years and then suddenly start talking about their past lives in Egypt. You know who does that? Grifters. Grifters do that, not credible journalists, not credible researchers, grifters. She's run out of alien grifts. Now she's on to the past lives grifts, apparently.
And medicine. And I am sitting here today because in that context, in the September of 1979, I started seeing headlines about dead, mutilated animals with no blood and no tracks around them. And that's what caught my attention as being director of special projects at the CBS station in Denver. How could you have animals that would have no tracks around their body?
I still believe that Linda Moulton Howe killed those cows. We had whistleblowers, and they said that she snuck up to them with a shovel and clocked them in the head, killed them. Then she got some kind of pump out and sucked out their blood so she would have an alien story to sell. I still believe Linda Moulton Howe killed those cows.
An ear, eye, tongue, jaw, genitals, and rectal tissue removed, and no tracks even around the body. And it is that collision of being a curious person from the time I was 3 or 4 years old. There was a family story that I heard several times from my mom and dad that we were in a park and we were doing a picnic. And my mom and dad were brushing away flies and bees from the food. And suddenly they said, I looked up and I said, what kind of bees make mustard? And from that point forward, I was known as the person who always asks the most questions. And there is some—
What bees make mustard? So I guess she was a dumb child? Kind of makes sense.
Connection between that at 3 or 4, making a deduction that we were dealing with bees and flies and honey and mustard, that in a strange way was sort of in anticipation of the whole rest of my life. That when
she'd be asking dumb questions for the rest of her life.
Strange connections, and I'm left with questions. There is something in me that never lets go until I know the answer. Well, then, in September—
Well, she lets go sometimes. Like, for example, when a real scientist looked at those alleged crash retrieval materials and told her that it was normal earthly metals, yeah, she didn't let it go. She just kept hiring wackadoos until somebody would tell her something that she could sell the gullible public, right?
Of 1979, the universe gave me a question that 44 years later, I would have gone through thousands of miles, thousands of questions, but 44 years of investigation, and I still don't know nearly enough about animal mutilations, human abductions, extraterrestrials that are based on our planet in our solar system. And that the truth is, we humans, DNA manipulation is the answer to our creation by extraterrestrial intelligences.
I always wonder about the people who are selling the myth that aliens somehow tampered with our DNA to create human beings for whatever reason. Because, we have geneticists, we have anthropologists. If that was true, wouldn't real scientists confirm that? Yet they never have. That's a theory pushed by pseudoscience gobbledygook people like Linda Moulton Howe and Eric von Däniken and all of these ancient aliens people. They've never proved that theory, and I don't believe they ever will.
It's the truth. And if you said, what would energize, what would keep anybody going for 44 years after the same question? I think my overriding
She's been grifting for 44 years? Wow.
That is everything. I really like to know the truth. I like to know the truth.
She's the honey
about
mustard
everything
lady.
that I have encountered in my life.
Maybe
I want
that's
to
what she
know the
meant.
truth
What bees
about
make honey
every
mustard?
extraterrestrial civilization that is in this universe.
She must have dementia.
I want to know the truth about the edge of this universe. How many
You're right about that,
universes
Yoshi.
are there? And if we're in a multiverse,
Desire to know more about animal
then we
mutilations
could be in
increases.
a specific universe made for one reason.
She has no
to be
evidence
a
of
training
anything
ground, a
after 40 years.
university
Yeah, 40
For
years. No,
souls to come into and
That's a good
learn
point.
about white versus black.
that's a good point. She's been at this for 48 years, did she say? And she has no evidence of any of her claims after she just wasted 50 years of her life on nonsense. Well, she made herself very wealthy selling that nonsense. So there's that, I guess.
About light versus dark, about love versus hate. A training university universe for souls. And I say that because I've become convinced that that must be the truth about this universe, because more and more physicists that I have talked to are saying that this universe is a hologram. If it is a hologram, it is being projected.
More and more physicists. What physicists? She never names sources. This is an appeal to authority. Look, I've talked to the authorities in science, and they all say this, but she doesn't name them. That's a grifter technique.
From another dimension or another universe. And there is nothing that excites me more now
40 years of
than trying to
butchering
get
cows.
to the
Yes.
bottom of
Money.
that
Money.
and what the truth is, and knowing
she gets
that
the truth and lie
physicists
mixed
today,
up. Yeah.
all over the planet, are
Love of money, the
studying
root of all
various
evil.
facets of the universe that
That's
we
interesting,
humans
William
are
Renner.
in. Is a universe that could be a holographic projection
Lucy Smith.
by something
I
else
don't know
so
about that.
advanced that it could project our universe. And then, if the whole goal is to
Yeah, I'm
learn
sure there's
about
always
the
going to be
difference
anomalies
between
we don't
white and
understand,
black
ML.
at every frequency level, that's when something in me kicks in and feels that is the biggest truth of all.
Yes, you're
So you
correct.
found the truth.
Design
You're
patterns.
saying you searched, and maybe this is not the ultimate answer, but you're saying you did find.
Oh, you know who's
Let's say
interviewing?
that is the truth.
You know who's interviewing her? Alan Seinfeld or Steinfeld. He was involved in the Anjali scam. Now he's interviewing Linda Moulton Howe. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Then what's your next mission? Where do you go with that? What's
New Age nuts.
I want to see every part of this holographic universe. I want to know if I can
Leonard
go
Joker
through a
makeup.
black hole
Oh no.
into another dimension, into another universe. I want to know if I can actually verify that there are multiple universes that go on, as Roger
She's
Penrose
definitely
said
going
to
in the
me.
Grifter Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
The truth is, Linda, We're an infinity
vibes.
of
I know.
cycles of
She's gonna rip her
time,
face off and show us the
making the cycles of time in some way almost as if that is the energy,
That's interesting. Thank you, Denmon.
and that the universes are the product. And I want to
Yes,
see it.
Dodie did tell
I
her that.
want to know it
among other
all.
things.
Why do you think it's been your destiny to know it all? And you've had experiences along the way that have led you. Talk about that, because it's not like you're just, you know, some secretary somewhere and suddenly you get it. It's been your life, Linda.
Well, you know, in a way, it ties back. I was in first grade. I remember distinctly being in first grade and
I
walking
agree.
to the elementary school. And that was the time
She's
that
quantum.
I began, every time I went to bed, it was splitting in two, and part of me rising into the ceiling and being very aware of me in bed.
Now she's astrally projecting.
And that I never talked about this with my parents. That is the really unusual
Thanks,
part.
Richard.
It was as if I knew something inside that I was familiar with, the splitting in two, and that I wanted to have the experience of joining in or moving into the ceiling, because every time I got close, it was a cottage cheese ceiling. There was this tetra blue, electric blue light that was around all of the cottage cheese in the ceiling. And it was
She has
a
cottage
yearning.
cheese in her
It
ceiling?
felt like a yearning, as if I knew this.
Why would you have cottage cheese on your ceiling?
And I wanted to go into that tetra blue light.
Yeah, she's trying to think it up.
Single time. And that was
New
a
fairy
challenge to
tales
me
from Linda.
when
Yes.
something says no to me.
I would think so.
And there would be
William
this
Renner,
voice
but I don't
in
know
my
that for a
head,
fact.
telepathic.
I hit
No
her head on
danger.
the cheese ceiling.
You cannot. Meaning
She hit her head on the cheese ceiling.
to go through the ceiling
Cheese
out.
ceiling.
And
What
I
the
accepted that
F
there
is
was
a cottage
danger.
cheese ceiling?
I accepted that the voice was something that I recognized and I obeyed. But I never stopped.
Yeah, it's at the beginning of the show. I
and
started
going
with
to
that
that
Tales
ceiling.
of Sonic Voyage.
And then it was as if there was exercises being given
You
to
can
me.
email me. What do you have to talk about,
Because
ML?
when I couldn't go through the ceiling,
Email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com.
I then tried to imagine the end of everything. And in my 6-year-old mind, that's the way I thought of it.
She's going through a cottage
I
cheese
wanted
portal.
to,
Maybe
like I want
Archaic
to
Revival.
see
Thanks for being a
infinity.
member. She wanted to see infinity.
I
Oh,
want
by the
to
way, I forgot here, we have another kind and generous benefactor, a longtime show supporter, John Chow, who says, with a kind and generous $10 super chat, I think you meant as for Hal, we don't claim her. Praise the non-grifter Cash. Thank you for helping the rest of us out here, pulling our hair out about these scams getting major media attention. Feel less alone. Well, thank you. That's a very kind comment, and very kind of you to throw $10 in our hat, and of course to help us to praise the cash, John
Praise
Channel.
the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
We're praising the cash really good already. Get those non-grifter super chats in. We appreciate every single one of you doing that. Thank you so much. We'll continue now on our journey of, I don't know, where's she going with this? She's going through a space portal made of cottage cheese. There's cottage cheese on her ceiling. I don't understand. Why does she have... Dude, I'm getting Leatherface vibes now because I'm thinking about her like just like smearing cottage cheese all over her ceilings before she goes to bed for whatever reason. It's bizarre.
All of the universes that are there. And so this part that seemed to be like a teacher to me, I would start moving like I was flying over a gray,
She sure
slightly
does.
silver
She's
going
got
into black.
She's got a
And
echo
I
chamber
knew
going.
that this was everything, and I wanted to get to the end of everything, the end of infinity.
Oh, I wasn't familiar with that. Thank you, Denman.
And I
Well,
would
that
get
explains it.
so perspiring. That's what I remember. That my skin would start feeling cold because I'm perspiring, because I'm working so hard to see the
The
end.
cottage
of
cheese ceiling told her to
infinity.
kill the cows.
And I
Yes.
thought of that word. I had that word in my concept at age 6. And if you think now,
Well, each
as
their
I
own.
sit in front of you,
Tell that to the
at
people he sued and
81
made their lives
revolutions
hell.
around the
Design
sun.
patterns.
In some ways, those 81 just seem like that. And in another way, as I think about trying to see the end of infinity and go through the blue light in the ceiling,
I agree. Ursula Bielski's
there's
World of the
always been a
Supernatural.
part of me on the
Ufology is a cult more than
inside
anything else. And you have to learn all the details of every myth and history.
that seemed to always already know what in this matter form I've been trying to duplicate.
Mutilated cow cheese.
And eventually I began to realize
I don't
had
know what
already
she's saying.
done what I had.
I guess she
been trying to do
astrally
at age
projected
6.
through a portal on her ceiling made of cottage
And
cheese.
it is as if I
That's what I
have
got so far, Patty. Is
an
that right? I
internal
think. I don't
knowledge.
know. Anybody got a crazy aunt?
So that
I
when
do. I
Sheriff
had a
Tex
crazy aunt.
Graves
God bless her. She's been
up in
going.
northern,
She's been going for a long time. I had this crazy Aunt Jean that used to say the wildest, craziest shit. And if you were at a family function, the worst place that you could be is sitting next to Aunt Jean because she would start telling you crazy stories that made no sense. And I think towards the end, she was a little senile and she would just totally mix things up. Like one time she was telling me about buying an ice cream cone from a vendor in some place that it was so cold that they couldn't have cars, so the ice cream vendor had like a dog sled team or something. Anybody got a crazy aunt? That's your crazy aunt. The crazy aunt that nobody wants to sit with at Thanksgiving because she just tells crazy stories. That's Linda.
Colorado in Logan County said to me,
Yeah,
the
Glory let Bigfoot there
perpetrators
for a minute.
of animal mutilations are creatures from outer space. And I felt this sting. It had a physical sensation of sting throughout my entire body when he said those words.
Could be. It's new
But when
grift.
I
Now
have
she's an
looked back
ascendant
at
master.
that moment, it was like catching up to a destiny. I didn't know that the next
that's a good
44
point. How do you
years
reach
of
the
my
end of
life
infinity?
were going to be
Infinity
trying
is
to not
infinite.
only get to the bottom of animal
And not this
mutilations, but
crazy.
everything about extraterrestrials,
Get it out of the
everything
body
about
experience.
the universe,
Maybe she was smoking
everything
something. Could
about the
be.
whole concept that we could be in a universe that was a holographic projection,
she
which
seems to
I
be
think it
recalling a
is.
hot flash and he needs
And that our
infection.
entire human
That's the comment
relationship
of the night,
with
Wingnuts.
the cosmos, with the night sky, is completely different than the reality of the universe that we're in.
Oh crap! Yeah.
I somehow
Hey,
already knew
good
a
to
lot
see
of
you. Night
this when
Watch
I
and
was 6 years old.
welcome back. Don't be a stranger. We need
And
viewers.
that probably is one of the most interesting things to me now in the
Humility and ice
81st
cream.
revolution.
Yeah.
Where
Yes,
all
he
have
still
you
does the
been
UFO boat
before?
parties, the UFO alien cruises.
And that I know
Yes.
that I was in a life in Egypt
Oh, here we go.
as a female who had a tremendous amount of knowledge about extraterrestrials. And that I have had more memories about.
So what she's saying is, even in her past life in ancient Egypt, she was an alien wackadoo lady. Oh my God. I had a great deal of knowledge about extraterrestrials when I was living in ancient Egypt. Okay, wackadoo.
That, and in a strange way, there is an overlay of this life and a life in Egypt in which I had exactly the same challenge, only I've only become aware of
Could
this
be,
in the
Patty.
last
Maybe she
several
needs
years.
meds.
And maybe it's worth talking about because I think that the merging, when people begin to become aware of another life
Oh
and the
yeah.
current life,
Yeah, Jeff. Because she's
you
just
get
scared.
insights
Would you forgive
that are
your grandmom if
astonishing.
she was on the
And in
internet
that
scamming
life-
people? Would you just keep your mouth shut? Everybody brings that up. Oh, she's an old lady. You should leave her alone, right? Whatever, Jeff. And by the way, get out of here, bro. We don't need your negativity here. And that's Goofon, by the way, because nobody calls me that but Goofon, right? So welcome, Goofon, you piss poor coward, right? Why don't you make fun of my disability some more, right? Goofon did that again today on Twitter. For those unaware, I have a paralyzed eye, and cringeworthy losers like Goofon love to make fun of my physical disability as if I could do something better than that, right? Yeah. Bye-bye, Jeff Garvey. See you later, Goofon. Nobody calls me that but him.
Her whole mission
They stoned her. This is why she's
assigned
still stoned to this day.
was to bring to the
You can remember her
public
past life of
Egyptian
grifting.
the truth
Crazy
that
cat lady.
extraterrestrials
Yes.
had founded
I
Mesopotamia.
thought it would get any thicker too. Yeah.
And that I've had experiences where I have had repeating
Aliens
dreams in which
Found it
I've had
Mesopotamia.
papyrus with
Yeah, her
the
age
green
doesn't matter.
and the
I
various
keep on
colors that they made them
cringy,
in front of
right?
me. And that I was
Well,
both
thanks, I
teaching
guess.
and trying to connect about the fact that extraterrestrial civilizations
Yeah, sounds like a
were part of the
Wilcock
birth
grift, right?
of Mesopotamia, and that I was
About to start a
involved
cult.
from some standpoint of knowledge, like a teacher.
Yeah, couldn't have been a carpenter in Dakota.
But my only
It's always
students
ancient Egypt, right?
were all men. I was female. I had the snake. I had the armbands. I held the rod. I was the communicator, but never to women.
Grifting since 4500 BC.
So in an odd reversal, I have
it's so
ended up in the
stupid.
20th to the 21st centuries as a female who took on subjects that had only
I don't
been
know. Yeah, how do you
available to
sleep at
men.
night? Just lying to people for money every day.
There is something about this life
Past lives of being raw
of
dog at
knowing
UFO
that
conventions. Gross, Montauk J.O.
I was never ever going to be turned
Yes,
away
she held a
from
lot of
anything
rods.
because I was
That's a
female.
bad, lowbrow joke, but we'll go there,
And in a
Stormcrow.
strange
Linda
way,
held
that Egyptian
rods
overlay
Her
life,
past life.
she was killed.
Oh,
She was poisoned. I
killed.
saw how it was done. I then had, coming full
Right.
circle back to splitting out of the body,
Anna Louisa
I
didn't
then
see
saw
Linda in her
my
past life in
body
ancient
of
Egypt.
her in Egypt from a position that was approximately 10 feet above the body,
Oh, so specific.
laid out on a black sarcophagus.
Oh, she had a black
Three
sarcophagus.
Females were putting
As opposed to
all of the
what?
pleats in this gold dress that she was put in. And in that
Anunnaki
position
bukkake.
of looking down, as
That
if
sounds
I
gross.
had the ability to move in and out, just like back in this life when I was 6, I hear this voice asking me as I'm coming out of her body, what
You did a
did you
great job on
learn
the audio
in
on
that
this.
life that you can apply to the life you're in now? And the voice was that clear. And then I heard myself answering about her lying in the black sarcophagus. In her death
Sounds like she's looking for
was her
worshipers,
victory.
like a cult.
I had to wear, it was like a
She is the
burlap,
mummy.
if you think of a,
Yes,
of a
Lady Black.
weave, but it was a little finer than
It was
burlap.
exactly 10 feet above the
And
body.
she
Yes.
had to have the whole cloak on, and I had to hold a black, I think it was teak. It was like a rod. It was approximately 5 feet high, and she had to hold the rod that had a gold circle on the top.
She had to hold the rod.
And it was very important for reasons that I still don't know why. She had
It
to
was very important that she held the rod. Okay, Linda. We know how important holding rods are to you.
hold her thumb up when she took a hold of the rod. And she took a hold of the rod standing at a sandstone
probably
or
wouldn't that much.
limestone podium.
So
And the
bullshit. It's hard to keep the
papyrus
bullshit
that she
straight.
was reading from was on that limestone
Yes,
podium.
another
And she
enlightened
stood
guru.
like this, and all men also wearing the same thing. Headed, hooded cloaks like she, but they were all men, come through a door that is it's all stone. Everything is stone.
That's good
There's no
ending,
wood.
Code
There's
Delta.
nothing else. It's
Yes.
all stone.
Linda, time for your meds.
And when the door opens,
yes, without
it's
slides, nobody's
approximately
buying. She needs slides like
1,
Wilcock.
2, 3, 4 rows, and again made out of limestone. They are benches, and the men who come in the cloaks, it's all silent. Nobody speaks. And they
Cold
come in
followers
on
eat
these
this up.
4
They probably
rows
do.
while she is in this position. And they sit,
I would.
and they are looking up at her. So they are down approximately 10 feet below where she is with the limestone podium.
That's interesting, Circular Time. So she's never mentioned
And
this
she
to anybody
begins to
before. This is
read
all
from
new.
the
Grift.
colorful
It's a new scam then.
Egyptian
The oldest grifter alive.
text that is in this papyrus. And where I came into this over and over and over
Definitely.
in memory.
Mr. Reese thinks she believes
She
this.
is reading
Be a member.
words that are in the
At
papyrus.
least she believes her own bullshit, I guess. Is she on Ambien?
And she
Somebody
knows they
asked?
are lies.
She
She
dressed like
knows
Satan today.
they are lies.
Yes, red and black.
And everything in her begins to try to calculate, how is she going to insert
I
truth
think that's ISIS, isn't it?
in a
In the
position
Egyptian book. Yeah.
where her power thumb and that rod,
It's okay, Miss Terry. Mr. Reese.
she is
You can have
supposed
an
to be the center of truth.
Damn, Judge Judy went nuts.
And she knows, as she is before
Still has
all
her
of
arm
these
up.
men
She's
in
giving a
those
thumbs
4
up.
limestone benches,
Thumbs up for my new scam.
that if she
Thumbs up
makes
for my
a
new
mistake,
grift.
and how she is going
By the
to
way, smash the
penetrate
thumbs up
the lies
on
with
our
truth,
video here,
she
friends.
will die. She goes ahead.
She gets so angry
She-
when challenged. Yeah.
She speaks truth. And the next scene in the recall that I've always had,
Absolutely offered meds.
there was a particular man who
Claims this
had
is her past life.
a
Triangulate truth.
headdress.
She remembered.
He
She
takes
suddenly
her
remembered her past
down
life
to
in
a
Egypt
boat.
when she needed new
She
grifting material.
knows that she will go into exile and be killed. And he takes her onto this boat, and there are other men. They're all doing this in paddles, and she knows that she's going
That's a
to
good
an
point,
island
Nicholas
away
Dandero.
from the
And
mainland.
thanks for chiming in. And thanks for being on
And
our Facebook
in
feed.
that movement across the water, she knows
Sits on the rod
she-
to insert the truth. That's gross.
she acted to tell the
But we'll
truth
allow it.
and penetrate the lies.
This is like a
And it
scene
all
from
had to
Eyes Wide
do
Shut.
with other civilizations that were not on
Game
this
of
planet.
Blumpkin. What?
And when the boat comes to this island, I can hear in this other life, I can hear the swish sound as the boat moves through these tall grasses.
Wow, there's
And then
some
the man that
hands
she
watching.
knows
That's interesting. Our
comes
Facebook feed.
to where she is and
Do you know Steve?
takes her and as
Call
her
some fake
foot
stories? You still
in a
doing her wife?
specific
like her?
sandal
Guess you like
drawn
fairy
between
tales.
her big toe and the next toe. When the foot hits the island,
Penetrate the lies.
she's released.
Make her stop. We got a long way to go.
She did make a
We didn't
decision,
even get halfway through yet.
and she knows she will die. But when she stands on that island, she knows peace for the first time in her life as a priestess.
She just had these memories,
Made
yet
to
she's telling
read
us now.
papyrus
She's always
to the
had these
men
memories, but she's telling us now.
who were in that position.
That's one of those things,
power.
you know.
And the next thing that I'm
Mastermind
shown
of psychological manipulation.
is a basket
Could be.
woven, and in it are persimmons.
Puts you to sleep.
That orange persimmon, and one of the persimmons has a bite. You can see the teeth mark.
Amazingly crazy, maybe.
And I know when I'm shown it,
What is
that's
she
how
talking
she
about? Her
died.
past lives in Egypt. Pay
The
attention.
persimmon was
She was a
poisoned.
princess in ancient Egypt.
In this life of the 20th to the 21st century, I still can remember being a little child with my mother in a grocery store, walking where they had some persimmons in a place you could buy. And my first sight
That's
as
crazy,
a little kid,
Pathfinder.
the persimmons scared me to death. I was terrified of them with no
Can the
understanding.
YouTube let the Linda
All of this
WACKADOO
that I have been telling you
speak?
began to even explain a terror in a little child in this
I could
life.
see her writing bad romance
Links
novels,
back
Patrick
to
Sheehan.
my being
Yeah.
a priestess in Egypt who chose to tell the truth to the men who would be going out into the society and also telling what was supposed to be the reality. And the reality was filled with lies.
Talking about
and she knew.
reality?
And she made a decision, and it was that remembering. What did you learn?
You did.
In that
Did
life?
anybody else ever notice that when people talk about their past lives, there were always some kind of important historical figure, and they were always some kind of hero? Like nobody ever says, "Oh, I had a past life and I was a janitor in ancient Egypt," or I was a servant, I was a slave, I cleaned ancient toilets. It's always I was an important historical figure. It's self-aggrandizing ego.
To apply to this life? And that answer was so clear. In her death was her victory. But now, in 81 revolutions around the sun in this life,
Well,
I
she
think
was a
what
beauty
that
queen
meant was
back in the day, Chris
her
Johansson.
goal, her
not a beauty
mission,
queen.
her assignment
She was like
was
Miss
to bring into the Egyptian civilization
Alabama
at a
or something.
specific
She was
point
like in the Miss America
that the
pageant.
reality
won
was
for
that
the
we
whole
were in
state.
a universe that was teeming with life and consciousness.
All my cows' rectums. Yes.
But it's always left me with another question. Always I'm left with questions.
I agree, Genuine Argyle. I can't believe people believe this.
Where
Like,
did she
it
originate?
is what it is.
Which universe?
This could be her
Did
final
she
defense.
originate?
Absolute.
Why, at
Yes.
age 6, did I want to see the end of infinity? I've always wondered
He's the best Edgar
what she
Casey.
did
If you say so.
in the other lives before that life, because she was penetrating.
Prone personality.
She knew real truth
Her background looks
about
like a rubber room
real
psych ward.
other civilizations that were not on Earth. In a strange way, if my soul is her soul, she is amazing to me. There was
Yeah, you're right, Circular Times. It's wacky here.
there was an extraordinary strength with her knowledge that gave her the ability to say, I'm going to penetrate.
Yeah, the end of
these
infinity.
lies
It makes
with
no
truth
sense. There is
from
no
the
end to
beginning.
infinity.
And in a strange way, that's the definition
Yeah,
of
people
my
say
life
that,
this
I
time.
guess. Way back in the
And
day. Talk about the downslope, though.
I hate lies. I hate lies.
The woman who has made a career of selling people lies is right now saying that she hates lies. Oh, that's a good screenshot to take right there. I hate lies. Okay. How many times have we catch you in lies? And then what do? She doubles down on the lies when we catch her in lies and tells more lies. Like the Men in Black were responsible for her selling fake pictures of aliens. She hates lies. Sure.
She did. So I guess as we're talking today, what keeps
All she has is
resonating
lies.
in
Yeah.
me
Self-loathing witch.
It's as
Yeah.
if we think in terms of
Hypocrite.
a lie.
Yeah, I mean, she spent a career selling people lies.
Maybe
Is she
what
saying
I'm
she hates lies?
sensing for the first time in this life, talking to you,
Starting to look like a gray. Yeah, if you shaved her head,
palpably, that the reality is you
maybe
could
this
have
is her veiled confession.
you could have a soul assignment that could go on for millions of
I agree,
years.
Mr. E, and thanks for being a member.
And you would go
We
in
appreciate
and
you. Thanks
out
for
of different
appreciating us.
bodies, gaining
Yeah,
from
Carrie
each
Cassidy's
one,
going to start talking about her past
getting
lives
to a
soon, Kimmy.
point where you could do things that you
77,
could
good to see
never
you.
do if you were starting. And there is something about sitting here.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree with you, Melvin O'Brien.
I think
She's on special assignment in ancient Egypt, guys. You're right.
I think that where I have been and what I have
I think it's a mix. I
been
think she
seeing
believes
in
some
all
of
of
it and
these
she knows some of it
lives
is
in this
fake,
universe,
but it'll sell, so she runs with it.
I come from the universe that is projecting this universe.
She comes
I
from the
think
universe that is projecting this
I think
universe.
that's the truth.
She thinks
And
that's
it's
the truth.
why I would feel so at home in these discussions with the professors who are now aghast that we are in a holographic universe. It is being projected by something that is so vast and advanced. I come from there, but I'm in this universe struggling to understand and report about all of the things that relate to the cycles of life and death here. And that is what shocks me the most. It really is. Constant killing and birth. Constant cycles of living and dying here. And something in me feels that is so foreign to what I fundamentally know. And that when I was 6 years old, trying to see the end of infinity, that is closer to what I actually came from.
But you just said all the lifetimes you had.
All the lifetimes.
There
So
was
now
a
she's had
learning.
multiple of them.
And so other people,
I must have been
She's gonna multiple lifetimes she's had. So she's gonna make one video for each of her past lives. Maybe next time we'll find out that she was Napoleon's girlfriend, or she was involved in World War II, or well, maybe not. She was probably alive during World War II, but you know what I mean. They always plant the seed. So, and one of the things I've observed in grifter land is they sort of put things out like almost like a fisherman, like let's see if we get any worm, or let's see if we get any fish off of this worm we're dangling. And if a story hits, then they expand upon it.
And on this universe for a long time,
yes.
but that's not where I came from.
No, but all those other people that are living and dying, that are suffering, you achieved that eons ago. And maybe they're
What channel is
making
that
their
on?
way to that overview universe. Looks like you're at the threshold of right now of integrating that.
Well, I know that Egypt was not strictly Homo sapiens sapien for sure.
Oh, there
It
was
was not.
aliens in Egypt.
And I think that
Ooh,
the Assyrians
Trust me, bro.
were
There was
another
aliens
form of extraterrestrial
in Egypt.
civilization, and how much of it was
She
hybridization
cured suffering. Yeah,
with
she's
the
important,
universe that
Mel.
I feel now for the
She's
first
a
time.
hero.
I've never ever had this concept. I have come from the universe that is
I agree with you,
projecting
Chris
this.
Johansson. That's exactly what happened.
And what is the reason? What is the reason for projecting this universe?
Well, pretend or take the place as if you actually are that. You are from that. You're not Linda. You're the being projecting that
And Mel
universe.
says, I'm
What would
suffering
be the
listening
reason
to her.
You would do that.
Yes. Indiana Doty told her.
Because
Yes.
the
Her
yin and
cats
the
are definitely
yang
suffering. News
is the
Nation.
fundamental
Okay.
truth.
I'll
It is
check
the
it out.
biggest
Thank you
truth
for
of
the
all.
heads up.
And what I don't understand, I have never understood in this universe.
Came from
that
a
I talked
universe of
about earlier,
projection.
I do not understand the existence of darkness and evil. I don't.
Your funny
I
design
don't
patterns.
understand killing. I do not understand killing other life form to eat. I don't understand why there would ever be the end of life and growing and evolving.
But there isn't, because you
And
just...
if it is in these cycles, then what is the goal of the universe that created this one?
Yeah, I just want to mention, like, I don't think Linda's smart enough to speak deeply about, like, the origin of the universe. And she just sounds like an idiot. She sounds like a rambling lunatic, if you ask me. I mean, I don't know.
That is a hologram. And everything here seems to be about the cycle of life and death.
But with that,
She doesn't understand why evil
Souls have to be
exists.
the
I'm such a
answer.
sociopath.
That what is
Yes.
the animating energy that would have any
Linda loves to
memory
kill
of what
cows.
I'm talking about?
Grifter.
It's not my brain. It's not my matter body. It has to be my soul.
Oh, there we go. We got another kind and generous person in the live chat. Thomas Robinson, longtime show supporter with a kind and generous 10 pounds. With a good question. Do you think planet Mars had a nuclear war a long time ago? Makes sense of why no water around with the red sandstorms. What do you think, Stephen? Well, I think it's entirely within the realm of possibility that there was some form of life on Mars that may have developed technologically and destroyed their planet. There's at least a few people with a theory similar to that. I would have to really check out the evidence, but there appears to be at least a few scientists who have posited a theory that there is signs of nuclear explosions or nuclear happenings on Mars, which makes no sense if it's a completely uninhabited planet incapable of supporting life. We do know scientifically, based on available scientific evidence, that Mars was once a warmer planet with liquid water all over the surface. What happened to that water? It's a great mystery. Maybe we'll do a show on that, Thomas Robinson, because I have seen some of the stories about evidence of nuclear activity on Mars, at least people claiming that. Now, I don't know if that's true. It requires a great deal more investigating before I could make up my mind on that. But I'll add that to the list of shows. Mars nuclear past or something like that. Or did Mars once hold intelligent life? Many people believe that. But thank you for the question. I'm sorry I can't give you a more definitive answer until I've evaluated all that available evidence. But thank you, Thomas Robinson, for the kind and generous 10 pounds and helping us to praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, let's continue our journey
And it would mean that
into
my
insanity.
soul is
We got like 20 more minutes to listen to this wackadoo.
cycling like an energy matrix, taking in all of this,
Pseudoscientific term,
moving
energy
the
matrix.
universes. And that is where the
Trying to sound
memory
profound,
of
yes.
everything would be. Your soul would be the only vehicle
Cost
that
of
can provide this.
Patty!
And the victory was where?
Botox ain't cheap,
From that
Patty
lifetime.
Wilhelm.
That's right.
Isn't that a key? In the sense
In
that-
her victory, in her
Yeah.
death was her victory.
Right. So isn't that
Yeah,
the key
I
to
do that
the
too, Cal Pally.
cycle
I do that too. I
that
fast
there
forward
is
right
no
past
death,
her
and the
stupid
illusion
Earth Files reports.
was the victory
Thank you,
over
Thomas
the
Robinson.
illusion?
Very
That's
generous
what I
of you.
get. Is that
We read every single
simple.
super chat, so
I've never
let's
been
hit
here
that money
in thought
button and we'll
until
read it.
now with you guys.
But this life is a victory. You know, your life is a victory, and
You hear that?
also the kind of what
The grifter's interviewing her, telling her that her life is a victory. A lifetime spent lying to people is a victory. You see how people live in delusional fantasy worlds? These people interviewing her live in a delusional fantasy world where they think Linda's lifetime of decades and decades of selling people fake stories is a victory.
you were saying last night, declassify reality. It's the same thing as what you did back then.
Yeah, but I have high
Right.
hopes
I
we
was
can fix
declassifying
that.
the reality for those men,
I hope they terraform Mars. someday.
knowing I would die for it. But there is something in me that feels if you really don't anchor yourself in truth, if you really are not grounded in truth, then you are like a will-o-wisp.
Well, it's
that
quite a
any
comment
wind,
there.
any
Next time, write me a
breeze in
book,
any direction
Nicholas Donders.
can take you. And there's something in me that feels like if you don't stand your ground in truth,
Linda
you
crap
fail
fake Howe.
forever. And
If you don't stand in your
I
truth,
think I have lived a life this time in which I think it's clear to most people now. I really don't want to do or report anything that is not true.
I really don't want to do or report anything that is not true. Well, we caught her selling completely and totally fake pictures of aliens. Why would she say, I don't want to report anything that isn't true, and then report things that are completely and totally fake? This woman makes no sense. I swear she lives in a delusional fantasy world. Everybody worships her, tells her how great her work is. No.
But the truth, no matter how strange it is
You got to love a woman who spent a lifetime lying to people, you know, like pontificating on the truth and lecturing people on living a life of truth. Talk about hypocrisy.
where I am supposed to be sharing and holding. It's like holding a line, holding a space.
Thanks. I'll look for
I'm
that
back in that huge limestone room with all those men below me,
She
and
sure
she's
did.
holding the rod of power.
She's
And
holding
she
the
makes
rod of
the
power.
decision that she is going to hold that truth.
And you've made that decision again.
And I made that decision also in this life.
But maybe your victory will not be the way it was then. The victory will be in finally the world.
Yeah, he's a grifter extraordinaire,
Maybe.
that guy.
That it would go public
Grifters
would
got to
be
grift. They
the
support each other.
ultimate
Yeah.
victory.
You're
That
right,
it would
Miss
go
Gray.
to the whole
Yeah.
world, the truth. And that's what I'm hoping will happen in this life.
But that's what you've done.
Yeah.
You weren't killed for it in this life.
Not yet.
No, I think you've been protected. But if you take the view that you've come from that other universe, what would be the purpose of hiding the truth,
you say?
and your mission to reveal it? You know, it's like there's...
Because it takes being able to sort of go in a maze and make all these turns, because if
This woman is starting to piss me off, and so are the people interviewing her. Listen, you can't reveal the truth to people by selling them lies. Linda Moulton Howe sells people fairy tales, fake stories, and lies. The only truth she's revealing is that she sells fake stories for money. That's her truth. She sells completely fake stories for money. And these guys are all but sucking her off here. Boy, that's an image I'm never going to get out of my head. You know, worshiping her and telling her what a great job she's done, revealing the truth to people. She spent a career selling people completely and totally fake, provably fake stories.
if you die too early, you have lost the ability. And
Yes,
so
as many
I
of
have had to
them are still
develop a
boxes,
way
Andrew.
of being able to work largely alone. Because if you work with a lot of people, you have too many leaks. And I have truly had a life of dangerous discussions. And
Oh, this danger.
you
All the
learn
grifters
a
act like
certain-
the information that they're showing people is so dangerous, you know, and they're taking such a huge risk revealing this groundbreaking information. It's just part of the grift. Make people think this is important.
technique way of not being public until you feel that it's right. So I've had that sort of rheostat control on my life. And now, if everything goes public, I think I would be thrilled beyond my comprehension.
But I'm also not asking about the content. I'm asking about, let's say you are from that other universe, the energetic knowledge
This guy just
I
accepted.
mean, forget the truth,
He's
the
from
UFOs or not,
universe.
but something else that on a soul level comes through and survives.
I agree, Lady Blah Blah.
And
You're right.
flourishes because you were able to rely on that self that's eternal. That's where I'm going.
And that's the part that is holding the truth. That is the part that penetrated in Egypt.
She
that
said
caused death,
penetrated.
but that is
She
the part that is
penetrated in
to me,
Egypt. She said
it's
it.
like
She got
I have a
penetrated
sense of
in
self,
Egypt.
and
That's
that
gross.
sense of self is I am not going to be forced to tell a lie for love or money.
Right. Because you know the truth. You know the truth.
All right. She's not going to be forced to tell a lie for love or money. Were you lying when you sold those fake pictures of aliens to your stupid followers, you old grifter scammer? Right? Were you lying when you invented fake Navy SEAL sources that were never in the Navy to sell people fake stories? Were you lying about that CIA deathbed confession guy for money? She won't tell a lie for love or money. All she has done is tell lies for money. We want to take a moment to recognize Patrick Sheehan, who's a longtime show supporter. Thank you, Mr. Sheehan, for your kindness, generosity, and support. $4.99 super chat. And he says, "She who holds the rod knows the truth." Absolutely. Thank you for helping us to praise the cash, Mr. Sheehan.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Every time I see your user ID, I go, I hope he's not related to the wackadoo Danny Sheehan. Let's continue with our journey here.
Truth. I mean, you can tell when it's not the truth. So inside of you is held the deepest truth of all.
Yeah, sure.
And that's some eternal essence of you.
Linda Moldy Cow.
It's
We'll allow it.
amazing, the memory upon memory.
Yeah, Courtney Brown is another scammer.
I've
It's
never
because of
quite
him
felt
that Heaven's
this.
Gate killed themselves, Lucy
Because
Smith. Did
something's
you know
coming
that?
through now. It's
He's
like
the
I
one
can
that saw
see it
the
in your
alien
eyes.
spaceship behind the Hale-Bopp comet.
They're shocked.
Or
I
claims he did.
think that the government is not going to be completely recalcitrant and not give us truth because some of us have told the truth
declassified
and the
reality,
government
yes.
doesn't want to reinforce any of us. But I honestly feel sitting here, we are going to get that headline. We are not alone in this universe. It is going to happen.
Yes, God bless
This is
her.
the first time I've ever felt this is going to finally happen.
And when we do, how does that change reality and the nature of existence?
We won't
Midwest,
be living a
you get
whole
aroused every time
universe
she lies to
cosmic
you?
lie.
That's like the disclosure boner that I talked about.
My God. And the idea that we are perched at an intersection to declassify reality that has been classified by power brokers on
that
this
image on my
planet for so
mind,
long, and how
thank you,
many
Lady
other
Bubba.
planets in this particular universe have been subjected to the same kind of suppression about all life and
Mutilated prime
consciousness
rib?
in this universe for reasons that are not clear.
Yeah, only
It
Sallow.
would be like finally,
Well, these
after
other guys love her
infinity,
too. These other
that there is
wackadoos.
finally a break for an entire universe that will be grounded in truth and not deception.
Well, if you think back or remember or project back, do you think you somehow were an extraterrestrial that was the beginning of infinity? I mean, what do you think about when you think about, because you didn't come here, wasn't your first rodeo. You came here with you came here with an awareness. So you're doing the same thing this lifetime, in a sense. You're educating the world, but what was the sort, if you could imagine, without making up, but let it come to you, what was that original ET connection, whatever lifetime or existence that takes you to?
It's what haunts me. I would like to know
She's haunted by
where
this.
the beginning of my soul is.
She wants to know where the beginning
Is
of
there
her
a
soul
beginning?
is. What the hell does
And
that
that's
even mean?
another question
Beginning-
that I think is really relevant to humanity. do we have a beginning of our humanness as a soul in something that is recognizable to us as human, or do we have beginnings in infinity, that the soul is emerged or emerging, and it may not emerge first in matter at all. And now it's beginning to be where I'm talking to physicists who are looking at this as
Again,
a
she's talking
holographic
to
universe.
physicists.
And the deeper you go into that, it has to be projected. And if you follow the projection back, is it in another dimension? Is it in another universe? And why? Why would any consciousness in any universe project another universe? If this is
You should be
a
using the word
universe
quantum more,
for souls,
I think.
that's
you?
what resonates
Yeah, throw the word quantum in.
with me as the
Quantum
closest.
projection. Holographic quantum
And
projection.
then you come to probably the biggest haunting of my entire existence in this life.
Oh, she's haunted by this.
I truly do not
This is getting
understand
good.
why there should be any darkness. I do not understand evil. I do not understand why any soul
She
would
doesn't,
end.
she doesn't understand evil. That may explain why she's spent her career selling people false information, fake stories. I want to take a moment to thank longtime show supporter Chris Damaris with a kind generous $4.99 super chat. Says, my neighbor's a dairy farmer. He told me some old lady has been prowling the pastures at night. Showed me a pic and I told him, oh, that's crazy, Linda. Well, thanks for putting a smile on my face and confirming for us that, yes, Linda Moulton Howe killed those cows.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
And of course, thank you for appreciating us. We appreciate you, Chris Damaris, longtime show supporter. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. All right, we're almost through this. How many more minutes? All right, we got like 7 more minutes of this
Without
crazy
any
cat
kind of a
lady,
vehicle
wacko
that would be evil.
cat lady.
I don't. Something in me hits that, and I feel this is
You're right. 60 minutes of utter gibberish with
that
zero
maybe the
evidence
essence
of
of
proof.
everything I have learned and all of the cycles of life I have been in is that it is the power of light
Racing stripes.
that I am
Midwest.
joined with. I feel that the power of light, and that sentence
That's gross.
in the Nag Hammadi, the thought that dwells in the light is the true existence of everything there is. And in a strange way, being in a human
I agree.
matter
The Spartan
body
stuff was funny.
is like being
Fake
taken
Navy
as far
SEAL.
away from the thought that dwells in the light as possible. And yet in this universe, it is the evolution of matter in sync with,
Look at her eyes shift
or
away. Yeah.
trying to
So she's
vibrate to the
uncomfortable with what
frequency
she's
of
saying.
light.
But she knows she's a
It
proven
seems
liar.
to be the true goal of all the avatars.
She's about profit. Yeah.
And that the more you think about how many lives we may have all lived, that
Gibberish.
the concept of dying when you're excited by learning
Yeah, there's rumors about that, Chris. I don't know if that's true.
seems overwhelmingly
This is just
depressing.
nonsense.
And now we're beginning to learn about extraterrestrials that live lives
Viewing
that
her
can go up to 1,000 years because they know how to sustain every
This cat is
single
filled with
cell
these pure
of their
light. That's
body
true.
for 1,000 years.
Yes, I'm sympathetic
Why-
too. She doesn't know where her soul is.
Is it so uneven? Why is that landscape that I tried so hard to see the end of as a 6-year-old lying in bed?
Yeah, at least she said
Why
she doesn't
is it
understand something.
punctuated
Yeah, but
with
she has all the
darkness?
answers about aliens, though, Midwest.
Could it be to learn the light? I mean, if you were all light, how would you even know that you're light? If you're just light, if all there was light, how would you know anything else? How would you? That's what I'm seeing from what you're saying. How else you define the light in relationship, the yin to the yang? And maybe if you have all these lifetimes, maybe there is no death because you've remembered your eternal existence already. And the play of the illusion of the simulation is for that overview effect. I mean, I'm not saying
No,
that's the
you're saying something that I think also is true. I really do think that the soul has cycled and recycled and gone in and out of matter and other dimensions and other frequencies. And something that constantly beats in me is I want to see and know everything. And there is like, I have a compulsion to want to penetrate what seems.
I have a compulsion to want to penetrate. All right. She said enough wackadoo things during this thing that I'm going to, those videos that I make of where we take like a Wilcox stream and we just edit together all the craziest things and it doesn't really make sense, but it's funny. I'm doing that with this. I have to. She just said, I have a compulsion to penetrate. Oh, great soundbite.
Seems to be artificial restraints on us as humans.
Compulsive liar,
and that the
narcissism.
truth is so much greater than what
she said she has a compulsion to penetrate.
Look at. It is so much greater than what human
You're
evolution
right.
has been. And
the
sadness,
2053. Yes.
The sadness about
rogue.
the children who are born and they have
absolutely
nothing to support the life.
Yep, more truth.
And something in me feels when I look at some of the mail that comes out now in 2023, in which it will show an elephant, a baby that has been killed for something. This is the part of living on Earth that is so painful.
Why did they kill a baby elephant?
It is incomprehensible.
We're going to do it.
Come from light.
Ashton Forbes would definitely hit it
on a
planet. You're right.
Where there is so much mindless killing, whether it is for food or whether it is for jewelry or whatever it is for. I think that is probably the most confusing part of my.
Oh, we have another kind and generous benefactor, the kind and generous £5 super chat, who asks, how come all of Courtney Brown's disciples are young, hot black chicks? I noticed that myself. I do know from working in the city, I once worked at a corporate job. And the corporate job, Elmer Boiler House, I don't know if this is accurate in Courtney Brown's, but the corporate job I was at, they did some kind of research project, and they figured out that young black women would work for the lowest wage. And they literally opened a corporate location in a very bad neighborhood so that they could, I suppose, exploit the local workforce and train them to do this job, which was borderline illegal, if you ask me. Long story, but, the statute of limitations is probably up now. I just worked there. I wasn't the person running the company. So maybe it's because they work cheap, Elmer Boiler House. I really don't know, but I have taken note that he has an awful lot of young black women working for him. Interesting observation. And thank you, Elmer Boiler House, for your kindness, generosity, and support. And of course, for helping us to praise the cash, bitches.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right. We're almost through this. What do we got? A few more minutes. Thank God.
My life now.
This is like a Wilcox stream. I'm getting dumber just listening to this shit.
All of the different facets of death that is being presented to us right now in 2023.
I'm glad he's not using leading questions.
Killing of innocent humans in war. The number of people that have no food.
Bob Bigelow
We're on
hit
the
it.
same planet. And all of that is going on in front of us. And some of
you
us
can email me,
fortunate.
Nicholas.
But there is this
Sometimes we
part
have
of me
they come and tell
every
stories.
morning
You're happy to,
in my home.
I'd be happy to.
I
hear you
stand
out,
in
at least.
front of a very specific glass
She was
door where the
was
sun
listening in the
comes in.
80s. Yeah, me too.
And it is almost as if all of the part of me that knows infinity is standing in front of the sun and saying, thought that dwells in the light, please help me understand. How do we change this beautiful planet into one that is completely supporting life and not death? And we seem to be moving on a path.
Yeah, all these grifters always talk about basically a utopia. You notice how many of them are like, yeah, we could have a beautiful world where there's no death and no murder and abundance and free energy. They always project that they somehow know the secret to utopia or creating a perfect world somehow.
Toward destruction. I think for the very first time, I'm beginning to feel in this discussion a glimpse past the matter world, and that death itself is not really
Melvin.
so terrifying, because I really palpably feel there is a link. In her death was her victory. And if this whole planet,
well, you guys wanted me to go through this,
breaks open, we're not alone in this universe.
I showed up.
And it is ricocheting from one end to the other of this 13.8 billion universe.
Medbeds and dino beavers.
Consciousness is what has been released. And I mean,
the old lady meds are
consciousness between the whole universe that is like a living being itself.
Money for telling far out
each mind and soul, but especially the souls. I can feel it.
Well, that's right up
like
my alley, Nicholas. I love those kind of things. So make sure you email me.
All the universe, in a strange way, with this headline, would be released to feel each other. I'm serious.
We got to feel each other, she said. Earlier, she said she wanted to penetrate.
It's actually amazing.
This is actually amazing, she says. And we made it through. We made it through to the other side. I don't know about you, but I feel dumber just listening to this. What do I say about this? I don't know. She astrally projected through the cottage cheese portal on her ceiling. Why was there cottage cheese on her ceiling? I don't know. I don't make this shit up. I just listen to it because everybody wanted me to listen to this shit. I don't know why I'm here, really. So she actually projected when she was 6 up through her cottage cheese ceiling or something, and she wanted to see the end of infinity, which makes no sense because infinity is infinity. It's infinite. It has no end. And she was an Egyptian priestess that was holding rods and telling people the truth in ancient Egypt, and she knew all about the aliens, even in her past life in ancient Egypt. Okay. Well, that's sad, Midwest. Cal Polly says, I've lost IQ points and I don't have much to spare. Yes, she held the rod of truth, ML. She held the truth rod. Yes. Now I wish I would have went through that and made that edit, edit all this weird shit she was saying. She liked to penetrate. She had a compulsion to penetrate, and she needs to feel everybody. That sounds like, I don't know, illegal. You can't just penetrate and feel everybody, Linda Moulton Howe. Yes, campfire stories. Yes, Stormcrow says I'm gonna need to get some bee mustard. I think she meant honey mustard, right? That is something that a child would ask, like what kind of bees make honey mustard. I'm not a fan of honey mustard. One of my sons is, when you get the chicken nuggets at McDonald's or Burger King or whatever, he always wants that, right? Yes, Amy Collins says, I survived the wackadoo fever dream. Yes. And there were some people in the live audience saying, hey, well, I've got a better story than this, or hey, my story is like this, but it's real. It's not fake like Linda's story. All I can say is, and people are asking, oh, you should let me on the show. Sometimes we do that, but you got to be thick-skinned because our audience does not like bullshit. And so they may not be very kind to you, though I always ask when we have somebody for people to be kind to the guests if they're coming here and telling their experiences or stories, at least be respectful. Anyway, you can email me at this email address, truthseekershow@gmail.com. I'm a little late for next week, so we need some new guests. Feel free to email me. Give me a synopsis of your story. And if I think it's interesting, I will message you back. Somebody mentioned Doomsday Cult and being an insider. That sounds like something I'd like to talk about. Yes, Midwest says, is she like advocating for cockroaches and spiders right now? This was performance art. You're right. Lucy Smith says this is a sort of performance art. And interestingly, it's undebunkable. I can't prove she didn't go through a portal of cottage cheese on her ceiling. I can't prove she didn't penetrate people in ancient Egypt. I can't prove she wasn't an Egyptian princess or something like she's claiming here in a past life. And I thought this whole thing was interesting. She starts talking about her life of truth. Like, this is how delusional these people are. She really believes all this fake stories that she's been selling people for decades is the truth. Yeah. Chris Johansson says, just be fair warned, you are not likely to turn or convince anyone here. We are not your audience. Yeah, I mean, that's fair warning, you know. But does she know the secret of the strawberries? Those that know. The cottage cheese was projectile vomit. Could be. I mean, I know her now. Thanks for that. I had no idea. Glad I watched this. I can't say the same thing. You can't prove a negative. Grifters depend on this. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So listen, we have done our due diligence, both for tonight and probably for the week. I'm still debating about going to the cabin. I'm actually considering staying home this weekend because it's supposed to rain and snow. Yes, that's right. It's going to be May in a couple of weeks. It's still snowing at the cabin. And so far they are predicting, here, let me see the National Weather Service. Friday night, showers likely, then rain, snow likely. Low of 35 Fahrenheit. And then Saturday, breezy, rain and snow, then a chance of showers, a high of 42. Saturday night, mostly cloudy and breezy, then mostly clear. On Sunday, a 90% chance of rain. God put in my heart a dream of building a cabin. But what God didn't mention is that he was going to make it as hard as possible to accomplish this dream. Because, listen, I'm willing to show up and work on that dream, but I need good weather. So God, please shift the winds, do something and help me in this accomplishing this dream. I pray, because I need good weather. All the work that I have to do, which is building a porch roof, is outside. Can't really do that if it's raining and snowing on me and 40 degrees all day. I am praying for a break in the weather, friends. This happens every year. It seems like winter lingers on. One year it snowed in June, It's high up in the elevation in the mountains. It's also pretty northern Pennsylvania. So there's snow in April right now. There's usually snow up until somewhere in the middle of May, and then the weather finally breaks and it's cool but manageable there, like 55, 60 during the day. But this weather is killing me. And see, I hate to, first of all, it's 4.5 or 5 hours round trip. So 5 hours in a car to sit in the cabin as it rains all weekend is not accomplishing much. And certainly sometimes when I go to the cabin and it rains like that, it's unexpected. Like, oh, now it's raining and that wasn't in the weather. It just happens. So I just work on the show or do whatever. But I got very little things to do inside. I don't have inside work at the cabin. I have outside work. So we need spring to sprung already. In any case, I haven't decided if I'm going to the cabin yet. If I don't go to the cabin and I'm here, we're going to do a test stream from the other studio. For those unaware, I work in this office that is basically an attic room, and there's terrible ventilation, and it's hot as hell in here, even if it's 55 or 60 out. There's terrible ventilation in here, and I can't work in here after a certain point. At least I can't do live streams, because the only way to survive staying in this room is to have the air conditioner blaring on high the whole time you're in here. And I can't do that during a live stream because of the noise. So anyway, we moved to an alternate area of my home here where we do the show. Studio B, I call it. We'll be moving into that this weekend. So if I do stay home, a good part of me thinks I will be staying home so that I can, every year when I have to make this switch and start doing shows from the other studio, I'm totally uncomfortable in there for the first, I don't know, couple of weeks. It's just like, it takes too long to get everything dialed in so I feel comfortable doing the show. Maybe I should spend some time doing that this weekend. And if it rains, it rains. I'm still got things to do. Yes. PBR Street Gang, you lost all credibility when you say you may claim discrimination because you're a member of a protected group. You've said it twice now. Oh, I'm just examining my possibilities for a defense, PBR Street Gang, and I'm sorry that you feel that way. If you think that people that are hiring proven lying UFO con artists and scumbags should be allowed to censor or ban the reporter reporting on the people they're hiring, then we'll disagree. Yeah, and I'm not turning all into one of those people that does things like that. It's just something that I thought of. They're not, according to Facebook terms of service, a Facebook group is not allowed to discriminate. Now, that discrimination could just simply be that I'm a skeptic and I'm not a believer in alien visitation on Earth. I wasn't talking about anything more than that. So if you misunderstood me, I'm just trying to make a case for the fact that they are violating they're violating Facebook terms of service by banning certain people and allowing others. That's a form of discrimination. And if we disagree, we disagree. But boy, longtime show supporter showing up all of a sudden because of one thing I said that they may have misunderstood and saying, oh, you lost all credibility, Stephen. I think I know what you're talking about, though. You know, certain people that claim they identify as this or that. There are people right now that identify as cats that are trying to force public schools into letting them shit in litter boxes. I think that's fucking insane. Just to put that on the record, but to each their own. But, you know, the problem is, it's like we've been saying here, the truth doesn't require your participation. A lie does. So if somebody is living a lie and they say, I identify as this, you know, I don't know. I don't think that people should be forced to participate in stuff, you know? Midwest says, I think the Stephen Greer new and improved app has the capacity to change the weather patterns, and it only costs $10.99 with the upgrade. Whoa, I'm definitely buying that. Yes, I knew you meant Stephen Greer, right? Melvin O'Brien. Wow, I live on a beef farm. I have to keep a lookout for an old woman wandering in the fields. Stephen and Truth Seekers, thank you for being here, Mr. Richard Warner. So comments or questions for me, please put them in all capital letters. Oh, so I was saying, if I stay here this weekend, we'll do a test stream from the other studio, make sure everything is working before the work week rolls around. I want to make sure everything is dialed in and everything's working perfectly before I do a regular or real show, right? Is what verified? I'm not sure. I think he's joshing us about the Stephen Greer app being able to change the weather patterns, but somebody making claims like that certainly would not surprise me, to be very honest. It just wouldn't surprise me. Yes, Midwest, I hate you. Midwest says, it's 75 in Chicago. I'm thinking about planting palm trees. Oh, I hate you. I hate my one friend who lives in Florida, who's always posting on Facebook and Twitter, like how hot it is. And, you know, I want to choke him. That guy's going swimming in, you know, November or in February. I hate people that live in these warm climates, right? Jay Roach says weather modification is real. Could be. I mean, yeah, look in Saudi Arabia. They do this cloud seeding and they force it. They basically, the Saudi government basically seeds all the clouds and they force it to rain in the desert, and it does. So there has to be something to that. Here's Hank McGurk. Welcome. Yeah, so comments or questions for me, please put them in all capital letters. Otherwise, we're going to be bouncing on out of here. We've done our due diligence. If there is another show for the week, I'll probably just do a test stream and AMA. We haven't done that in a while. Ask Me Anything, and we'll probably do that. I don't know, Saturday night if I'm here. I may just say this is the quandary, because sometimes I stay home from the cabin and then I message my neighbor and he's like, "Yeah, it was sunny and warm all day. Should have come." And I get pissed off, like, "Oh, I missed a weekend because of this stupid weather forecasts that are always gross." Do I still have the creepy chairs in the other studio? No. I think you're talking about the casting couch. For those unaware, I started a new studio and I wanted there to be room for guests. So somebody gave me a black leather couch and I put it in there. And immediately people were like, "Oh my God, that looks exactly like the casting couch on Pornhub." And I went, "Oh no." So we moved that out of there and I just have 2 chairs for the guests. Yeah. Martin Taylor says, "I have COPD, so I hate hot weather, can't breathe." Sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better. Right? Yeah. Yeah. I got rid of the casting couch, okay? Yeah, I don't know. You see stories about it, Amy Collins. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just rumors and speculation, or it's sort of people pushing against that sort of agenda. Who knows? I'm sure I've seen some stories online about that, though. DS Forever 1916 is here in the Twitch chat and says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening." Yeah. Stormcrow says, "Those are creepy chairs." Yes. Yes. Why doesn't PBR just buy 5 verses of Stephen Curry's Alien app and come back a week later and let us know how it's going? Yes. Wrap it up. I need to see the casting couch videos. All right. On that note, we've done our due diligence. I don't know what to say about this Linda video, and I know I'm going to get messages. "Oh, that's low-hanging fruit, Stephen." Yeah, sometimes we just need a fun, lighthearted show and see what the wackadoos are talking about. We accomplished that this evening. I've got some much more serious shows to bring you next week, and I'll endeavor to do that. I'm not sure what's happening this weekend, but follow me on Twitter at Stephen Cambion, and you will know too. I will announce any shows that we're doing. There is some replays. I thought it appropriate to replay the Who's Lou with Area 503 about the Lou Elizondo documentary. That's the reason I got doxxed and my family threatened, because we dared to speak to a filmmaker who made a film critical of Lou Elizondo. I think it's about time people see that film again and talk about that film, because, hey, Area 503 was 100% right. Despite all the attacks against him and anybody who would even talk to him about this film, he was right. Then we've got another episode of Anjali. She, after her original story came crashing down, she did the Cosmicon Shuffle and came up with whole new evidence-free stories about aliens that she could sell stupid people. So we cover that and that. And then we've got another of Corey Good's secret space trash missions on Sunday night. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Look down in our video section on our main channel. I will be, regardless of where I'm at, I will be in the live chat for all 3 of those. I enjoy that because sometimes I can't pay attention to the live chat and type back and respond to everybody, but during those premieres I can. So I'll be here. Hope you will be too. But for now, this is all I got for you. So until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.
Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal, or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Cambion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members-only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truth Seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support. Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Now there's a great way to support these broadcasts and show your support. Please be sure and check out our merchandise store. Links to our 2 merchandise online stores are in the links to this video or podcast. The Amazon storefront ships super quickly in the United States, Great Britain, and in many more places. Amazon may not ship to your country or location. If that's the case, hit our second merchandise link in the description and visit our Redbubble storefront. Merchandise from our Redbubble storefront ships worldwide, but may take longer than Amazon. We've got a great deal of super high quality merchandise for you to choose from, including t-shirts, phone cases, sweatshirts, and even pillows. The feedback from our products have been overwhelmingly great. Quality products and fast shipping. People all over the world are buying some merchandise and showing their support of the show. Praise the cash! Praise the cash! Praise the cash! We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, who are buying some merchandise and helping us to continue this journey.
UFO circle jerker extraordinaire. All of you UFO circle jerks are now on the table. UFO circle jerker extraordinaire. All of you UFO circle jerks are now on the table. They're there to help the grifters advertise their fake nonsense. That's their function. They're there to help the grifters advertise their fake nonsense. That's their function. That's what they're there to do. 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 advertise their fake nonsense. That's their function. They're there to help the grifters advertise their fake nonsense. That's their function. They're there to help the grifters advertise their fake nonsense. That's their function. They're there to help the grifters advertise their fake nonsense. That's their function.
Thank you for everything you've done and for risking your life to bring this forward.
Thank you.